Today, in your program, Grow Your Emotional Intelligence, we'll be discussing something that is very important to parents, to teachers, to managers, etc. And what is it? A lot of time, parents complain that their children are becoming distant from them. They no longer speak to them. They no longer share their burdens with them. Even when they are happy, they no longer share with them. And even advices that they would expect that the child should come up with, the children do not come up with this advice with them. So today I want to share with you 3 steps that if you take these 3 steps, you will be able to keep your children at a close distance. The children will even be attracted to sharing information with you as their father, as their mother, and also your colleagues, probably your junior colleagues, your senior colleagues, will also be attracted to sharing some of the ideas with you. And one of the ways, one thing I want you to quickly acknowledge is that if somebody comes to you and shares an idea with you and you throw the idea back at that person, this idea is unreasonable, the next time that person won't come to share an idea with you again. Once you repeatedly go against their advice, you do not even listen to them well, you do not acknowledge their advice, you do not make them feel as though they too are reasonable, they too can have the capacity to do critical thinking. Once you throw it at them like that, then later on they will stand aloof of you. Why? Because they know that anything they bring to you, you just neglect and you criticize them for doing that. Criticism is good because somebody, the major proponent of the Popperian school of thought by the name Karl Popper, has said that criticism leads to the growth of knowledge. But this your criticism needs to be constructive. When you give destructive criticism, whoever that you are criticizing sees you as somebody who is cynical, that you are suffering from cynicism. So specifically, these are the 3 steps you need to take the next time your child comes to you and they share a particular idea with you. No matter how ridiculous that idea is, take these 3 steps and you are going to retain your children as friends, you are going to retain your colleagues as friends, you are going to retain your friends also as friends. Number 1 is when they come to you with a certain idea, the first thing you should do is to listen to them. The listening in communication takes more than 90% of communication, the ability to listen well. And a lot of us do only listen in order for us to respond. That is why if you read this very popular book of Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the habits he listed there is for you to seek to understand, then to be understood. So when somebody is talking to you, when your child, the next time your child is talking to you, seek to understand, then to be understood. So don't just listen for the sake of listening. Listen in the actual sense of listening. And a lot of psychologists and communication experts, they've also gone into the research that which method is the best listening method in the world, because listening contributes almost more than 90% to communication. And they came up with one, and which is called mirroring. When your child comes to you and gives you a ridiculous idea, let me cite an example I cite most often. It's if your child comes to you and tells you, Daddy, I have an idea, instead of us going through the staircase every day before we can get down, why can't we be jumping through the window? We are going to get down faster. As ridiculous as that idea is, if you tell that child, this your idea is ridiculous, what sort of idea is this? The next time that child even has a better idea, that child will not come to you. So that child is not going to see you as a friend. But if he shares it with his own colleagues, his own classmates, his friends, and they, it is true, and our parents never thought of this, they are the ones he's going to be going to for advice the next time. Because why? When they came, you thwarted their advice. As ridiculous as that advice is, if your child tells you, Daddy, instead of going through the staircase, why can't we be jumping from our penthouse? We are going to get down faster, and we can save a lot of time. If your child comes to you with the idea, then you mirror back what that child has said. Do you mean that instead of going through the staircase, we should just open our window and jump down? Mirroring what that child has said basically means paraphrasing what the child has said. When you paraphrase what that particular child, or that your friend, or that your colleague has said, what that has shown is that you've actually listened to them. You were an active listener. You listen to them to understand their point of view, not that you listen to them so that you can respond quickly and you can throw the idea out of the box. So that's the first thing you need to do. You need to mirror back whatever they've said back to them to show that you have actually listened. Number two step you need to take is for you, after mirroring back that the idea. No, the second step you need to take is for you to say what you also agree with in the idea they've shared. For example, I agree with you that if we are to be jumping through the window, we will get down faster. And I also agree that sometimes you need something urgent to just speak downstairs, and the staircase can take a bit of time. So you've given strength to what that person has said, so that person won't see himself as someone who has said something stupid, even though the idea itself is stupid. So you don't need to actively tell them that the idea is stupid. And the last but not least step that you ought to take is for you now to say however, because a lot of psychologists have said, even communication experts, they've said the use of but nullifies whatever you said earlier. So now people are more friendly with the use of however. I see some merit in what you've said, however, I disagree. I say no. Why? Because if we jump from the penthouse and we jump through the window, we definitely will sustain some injuries, and it can even lead to death. We can break our legs, that we will even be unable to get to where we intend to go. So with that, you've agreed with the child that you've listened to the child. That child will come to you next time. Why? Because you listen. Human beings naturally are not wired to talk to those who do not listen to them. Even one of the best ways for you to make somebody love speaking with you is for you to allow them have time to speak. If you dominate discussions all the time, a lot of people naturally will run away from you. They don't like to have a discussion with you. Why? Because you don't allow them talk. And naturally, we all have our own inclination that we want to be heard. Even for introverts speak in the company of those they are comfortable with. Introverts speak in the company of those they are comfortable with, those they believe can listen to them, those who won't also judge them. And that's the important thing. Your children, your colleagues don't want you to judge them. Even if you will be judging them because of probably the stupidity of some of the ideas, you should also make them feel welcome. You should make them feel like they have somebody that can listen to them. And one of the most important tools even psychologists use in counseling, in mentorship, is active listening. Some people, they have some psychological problems, but what they need the most is for someone to just listen to them. Probably at home, they have issues with their husband, they have issues with their wife, and those ones don't allow them talk, they don't allow them have their moment. The day they have somebody and they are able to pour out their emotion, you see some of them, they start shedding tears. And after shedding tears, they become more strengthened, they become more courageous, their level of confidence in themselves starts to grow. Why is that? It is because somebody has actually listened. So you need to show to your children that you've listened. You need to show to your colleague that you've listened actively, and that you are not listening to judge them. You are listening to actually go through what they are saying on the basis of the merit of whatever they are saying. And so the next time your child comes up with any form of idea, number one, you mirror back that idea to that child. Number two, you show some strength in what that particular child has said. And number three, you use the word however, and you show to that child that what the child has said is wrong, and this is a better way, or this is what you also think. So it won't lead to judgment, it will lead to you respecting the opinion of that child, but still telling the child that what the child is thinking is something the child should not follow to fruition. So in our next episode, we are going to be discussing something else. I'll keep that till I see you. Thank you.
Ramadan Mubarak.